Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
They say it will decrease homelessness and curb crime across California. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Supporters of the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act say they have enough signatures to get the measure on the November ballot. KPBS reporter John Carroll spells out how the measure would amend an already existing law.
California voters passed Proposition 47 in 2014. It was an effort to bring more equity into how certain crimes are handled in the state. It made some non-violent property crimes where the value doesn't exceed $950 into misdemeanors. It did the same thing with certain simple drug possession offenses. But some say it had unintended consequences, so they're taking their own measure to the voters. And today at a Del Cerro restaurant, they announced they had more than enough signatures to get the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Retail Theft Reduction Act on the ballot this November.
This is a very promising milestone for us.
San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan calls it a balanced initiative.
That will balance Proposition 47 and other laws and allow us to have safer neighborhoods, safer businesses.
The initiative would amend Prop 47 by reclassifying some previous felony drug and theft offenses that 47 turned into misdemeanors as felonies once again. Stephan and other supporters say an unintended consequence of Prop 47 has been people stealing less than $950 on multiple occasions, with prosecutors unable to charge felonies. It would also institute what Stephan calls a carrot and stick approach to getting addicts into treatment.
On the third time that you possess drugs, you don't get a citation. You get a choice. You can enter treatment for drug addiction, or you can go to jail.
But an analysis of 116 studies done by the University of Chicago finds it might not be that simple. The analysis showed incarceration does not deter people from committing future crimes, and in fact, incarceration for short periods can actually make someone more likely to be arrested and commit more crimes.
My name is Tony Kanja. My wife Lydia and I own this business here at K&B Bistro.
Crime analysis on a national scale aside, Tony Kanja says his experience makes a fix to Prop 47 essential. He says thieves have stolen liquor and other merchandise from his store and restaurant in the middle of the day.
There's time in the middle of a full restaurant that people are walking in with duffel bags and just grabbing items, putting them in their bag, and walking out.
As to how increasing penalties for retail theft and forcing people into drug treatment will lower the number of homeless people, DA Stephan said this.
So since the passage of Proposition 47, homelessness in California has gone up by 51%. The researchers tie it, not every form of homelessness, but to the increase in hard drugs and drug addiction that is putting people on the streets and keeping them on the streets.
But Tyler Renner from the group People Assisting the Homeless says drug addiction is not the underlying cause of homelessness.
There's so much research and evidence and data to show that it is because of the lack of housing. This issue intersects with, substance use and mental illness, but it is not the main driver or the cause.
Stephan says more than 900,000 have been collected. The Secretary of State will now determine whether enough of those are valid. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Governor Newsom announced today nearly $192 million in grant funding to help clear homeless encampments and move people into housing. The grant will fund 20 projects in 17 communities across the state. And KPBS North County reporter Alexander Wynn is in the newsroom with more. Alex, I understand that one North County city is a recipient of this grant.
Well, that's right, Maya. Oceanside is the only city in San Diego County to receive this grant from the California Interagency Council on Homelessness. The city will receive roughly $11.4 million to move people from encampments along the highways into housing. In Oceanside, that means Highway 78. Mayor Esther Sanchez says the state did not mandate this, but the city wants to do it to help unhoused individuals.
This is something that our staff wanted to really make a difference in our community, because they have the information, they have data, they have the beginnings of some programs, and what they were looking at are the gaps, and like, what would we need to do in addition to what we're doing to make this actually have an impact.
In today's announcement, the governor referenced the recent audit criticizing the state for failing to track the effectiveness of homeless programs. He says that's not acceptable, and there will be real-time engagement with cities and real-time problem solving. Maya?
Thanks, Alex. Now, how many people would this grant help, and what's the time frame for this money that we're looking at?
Maya, the grant is expected to serve about 350 people and house nearly 200. The city has up to 3 years to spend the funds, with 50% needing to be spent by June next year. In the newsroom, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
I'm Ariella Scalise, and coming up tonight on KPBS News, the clouds thicken up, temperatures dropping into the upper 50s. We'll keep some windy weather around, and then we're tracking a big warm-up. Find how hot temperatures will be coming up tonight.
Cities in several states suddenly lost 911 service. While it's back online now, Laura Geary reports the incident is another stark reminder how vulnerable critical systems are.
To our knowledge, we have never experienced an outage of this magnitude or duration.
Officials in Sioux Falls, South Dakota confirmed that their 911 system suddenly went offline for just over 2 hours Wednesday night. And they weren't alone. Authorities in Texas, Nebraska, and Nevada also announced similar outages in multiple cities. The culprit, a fiber cut during the installation of a light pole, said Lumen Thursday morning, a networking company that provides enhanced 911 services to several U.S. states. A Lumen rep declined to tell CNN more details about the installation hiccup or where the light pole was located. Although a potential cause has been identified in this case, widespread outages like this across infrastructure, healthcare, and business systems nationwide are under increasing scrutiny by federal agencies and national security experts. Just this week, a cybersecurity firm said Russian hackers are suspected to have temporarily taken control of a computer network in the small town of Muleshoe, Texas in January. A similar cyber attack happened at a water plant in Pennsylvania last year that U.S. officials blame on Iranian hackers.
Command and control of critical systems has been under attack by hostile foreign powers.
As for the multi-state 911 outage, only 3 of the 4 states impacted are serviced by Lumen. Authorities in Del Rio, Texas said Thursday afternoon that their disruption was related to the mobile provider in their area. I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
The House could vote on a set of bills to provide foreign aid and ban TikTok as soon as Saturday. The bills are now backed by the unlikely duo of House Speaker Mike Johnson and President Biden. They provide about $95 billion in aid to Ukraine, Israel, and the Indo-Pacific. According to the House Appropriations Committee, it would also remove TikTok from the U.S. app stores unless the company cuts ties with its Chinese parent company.
In order to get something into this underlying package, we have to have the votes on the floor to pass a rule. I don't have all my Republicans who agree on that rule.
But forget about Democrat, Republican. This is serious. This is life and death. This is the future of democracy.
Some Republicans who don't want Johnson to work with Democrats are trying to remove him from his leadership role. Johnson replaced former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy after he was voted out of the role in October. Work is underway to stabilize Highway 1 in Big Sur after a slip-out late last month. Brisa Colin reports repairs are expected to be finished by Memorial Day.
Phase 1 of repairing the road slip-out along Highway 1 is now underway. On Wednesday, crews deployed this large crane to suspend workers in a basket to begin work down the cliffside. If you take a look over my shoulder, you can see crews are beginning to drill under where the road slipped out. This is in an effort to stabilize the roadway. The crane so heavy, engineers had to drill in anchor supports last week ahead of this work. Crews in the baskets will be installing horizontal dowels in rows to reinforce the rock. 5 rows will be installed. After each row, they must add a special concrete taking 12 hours to cure before they can begin the next row. This process aims to prevent more of the cliff from crumbling from further erosion. Along with efforts to stabilize the highway, PG&E and Caltrans have begun installing 2 signal lights, working around the clock to get controlled one-way traffic up and running as soon as possible.
They brought in special lighting so they can work at night, and which is great because they've deemed it safe enough to do that. And so that's going to also help expedite things and move the project along faster.
But in the meantime, essential convoys will continue. It's been nearly 20 days since the road first crumbled into the Big Sur coast. CHP says they are still turning away several tourists daily.
We have about 40 cars on average during the week and about 75 cars on the weekend that we're turning around.
This progress encouraging for the isolated Big Sur community.
They are resilient and they are working together because they do see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Some children need extra developmental help. For parents and caregivers, that can mean a patchwork of appointments that make it hard to have their kids in childcare. As part of the special KPBS series, Where's My Village? Reporter Tanya Thorne looks at special education for the youngest kids.
When I was a little kid, my first word was baby. I knew from the second I could speak that I just felt kind of drawn towards babies, and I've always known that I wanted to be a mom. And it was a challenging road to get there.
Anna Childs gave birth to her son Theo in June 2020. When he was born, Anna noticed something was different.
And he surprised the heck out of all of us by having an extra copy of his 21st chromosome. So Theo has Down syndrome. And despite all the prenatal testing and testing through IVF, nobody had a clue. And so what we say is that Theo was hiding his superpowers until birth.
Let's close. At first, she and her husband were scared, but very quickly, they realized they were lucky.
It's like living with sunshine. It is really hard to have sustained stress or anxiety or pain when he's around because he's just this tornado of joy. And he's wild, and he's incredibly silly, and he is empathetic and very social, deeply opinionated, quite spicy, honestly. And I can't believe he's mine.
Anna was a middle school teacher and had always planned to go back to work after having a baby.
I remember one of the first thoughts that I had when Theo was born. I looked at my husband in the hospital room and saying, I think I have to quit my job. But it took me almost no time to realize that that was really foolish of me. I mean, this kid was made to be in the company of others.
So Anna started calling around, calling preschools her friends recommended. No one would take Theo. Finally, she found a place that would take him 2 days a week.
I framed this because this was the very first time that he had ever held a marker, crayon, utensil and created art.
About 1 in 700 babies are born with Down syndrome, and 1 in 6 kids have some form of developmental disability or delay. In California, those kids are eligible for free services: occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and many others. The San Diego County YMCA can help all parents find childcare, including placement for kids with extra developmental needs.
We really see a future in which we can support childcare providers in getting training and support and technical assistance in how to incorporate all kinds of need into their care.
The San Diego Regional Center coordinates services for parents like Anna, but those have to be in the home with the parent present, so Anna would have to take Theo out of preschool, take off work, and be home.
All of these things are available to us, but each of those things is an hour a week. And if each of those things must happen in addition to infant education in your home with you present, what does that mean for your career?
Anna had to leave her career, but she was able to start a nonprofit, included San Diego. It advocates for childcare for all children including kids like Theo. Her biggest goal is to help those kids get childcare with others who have typical development.
Most families who have a child with a developmental disability will tell you the fight to have their child included is a lifelong one.
Her organization is helping train preschools to take on kids like Theo.
We want to employ and have a supported employment program for adults with disabilities. We want each of our classrooms to have a classroom aide who is an adult with a disability. I want my son Theo to walk into class and see that one of his teachers has Down syndrome just like him.
That dream is slowly becoming a reality, as Included's first classroom opened to all children this year. Anna hopes the exposure to all children of all abilities will help them learn from each other.
And when you don't know someone who is different than you, that might turn into fear, right? That might turn into you pointing as a child, and then when you're a parent yourself, saying, "Don't look," and pulling your child away. That happens, right? If we want to plant the seeds of a more compassionate public, we start with our littlest friends.
And that was Tanya Thorne reporting. You can stream the entire Where's My Village series right now. Just go to kpbs.org/Where's My Village. The sewage crisis in Imperial Beach is getting the attention of some 6th graders, and they in turn want to get the attention of Governor Newsom and President Biden. Students from the National School District read the proclamation on Wednesday, a day after the Tijuana River was ranked the 9th most endangered river in the American Rivers Report. They learned about the issue at our South Bay shoreline during roundtable discussions with the superintendent and wanted to take some action.
I feel it's important to do this because it's our beach, and don't you like swimming? I love swimming in the ocean. Kind of sad and disappointed that we haven't done anything about it yet.
The government is refusing to take action is why we generally thought of the idea that we should bring it in.
And the 6th graders have forwarded the proclamation to the President, Governor, Congressman Juan Vargas, and the United Nations. They're also planning a march on Earth Day next week. The first Robotics World Championships began in Houston today, and 9 high school teams from San Diego County are competing. KPBS education reporter MG Perez is there, and tonight follows Lincoln High School's rookie dream team.
And 3, 2, 1, go!
They say everything's bigger in Texas, and the Steel Stingers of Lincoln High School have come a long way for their big moment with the big robot they designed and built. Less than a year ago, the team members started creating this 125-pound machine made of aluminum, steel, plastic, wires, and zip ties, and a battery-operated motor. They are San Diego County's only rookie team at the first Robotics World Championships here in Houston. There are more than 600 of the best high school robotics teams in the world at this international competition. They're from 50 countries. The boys and girls from Southeast San Diego are grateful to be representing and collaborating.
My responsibility here is to kind of coach our driver and controller about what's going on in the game so that they can stay focused on driving the robot and I can focus on the strategy and making sure everything goes right.
94-52, the LHS Steel Stingers lining up high there.
Things did go right in the first match of the morning as the Stingers and their other Alliance team members won. Match 2 hit a bump in the road with a head-on collision and a torn cable, leaving them out of power but not out of hope.
We touch the wire again, we're good to go.
What are you feeling?
I'm pretty relaxed, yeah, nothing. It's a small, minor problem we can fix right now.
FIRST is an acronym that stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology, FIRST. But the mission here is much more than just promoting STEM education and careers. It's about creating community, too.
Off we go in autonomous.
The Oceanside High School Wild Raccoons are also in the competition, and the Patrobots from Patrick Henry are an established team that has competed since 2017. Their team president is a young woman who carries a commitment to continue including more girls in the STEM community.
It has allowed us to broaden
who's on our team, and it has allowed me to feel more confident because when I first joined, there was only 4 girls on the team, and now there's 10.
Among the 50,000 students, mentors, support staff, and family members who have traveled to compete, there is a diversity and inclusion that is intentional.
It's beautiful to be able to see students from different countries working together, different languages, being able to communicate just by understanding that what unites us is the robot.
The Lincoln Steel Stingers are also enjoying the ride.
This is a learning experience for us. We're here to compete and do the best that we can. I always say if you give it your all and you left and you know you give it your all, win or lose, right, that's all you can do.
In Houston, MG Perez, KPBS News.
And the windy conditions do continue, especially if you live in the mountains and the deserts. We'll have some pretty strong wind gusts, close to about 50 miles per hour, especially closer to the coast here and a little bit further inland, those low clouds throughout the morning hours and some of that fog spreading. But as we head into the weekend, things are going to start to get a little bit warmer, and that's going to be the trend through next week as well as we watch a ridge building. I'll show you that forecast coming up. But starting with tonight, Borrego Springs 58, Mount Laguna 47. San Diego, you drop to 57, Oceanside down to 53, and Chula Vista temperatures into the mid-50s as we head throughout tonight. Friday looks to be pretty good. We'll start to see temperatures come up a little bit, especially as we head into the valley and through the deserts throughout the end of the week, and things will stay dry for you for any plans you may have outside. Borrego Springs hot for you at 90, Mount Laguna 56, San Diego you'll be at 66 for Friday, Oceanside 66, and Chula Vista temperatures into the mid-60s. Here we go, though, as things start to heat up as we head into the weekend. We see the ridge pattern in the jet stream. High pressure continues to strengthen, and that's going to be bringing us temperatures from 5 to even 15 degrees above the historical average. So that means 90s and triple digits into some of the lower deserts as we head throughout the weekend. Let's see what that plays like on our forecast here. The coast, we're not going to see too much of a difference. We'll see upper 60s for the weekend with plenty of sunshine, and that sticks around throughout early next week. Looking a bit further inland, though, as temperatures will be peaking for the weekend. Low clouds and some sunshine on Friday, 73 with nice sunny skies Saturday afternoon. And then Sunday, the warmest day of the next 5 with a high temperature of 77 before temperatures slowly start to come back down early next week. The forecast for the mountains does show a slow climb in temperatures. Enjoy that while it lasts because we turn much colder as we head into Tuesday of next week with a high of only 48. And here's a look at the forecast as things begin to heat up in the desert. 93 on Saturday, 95 for a pretty hot end to the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
An animation film festival this weekend will feature hundreds of works from elementary students in the National School District. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayers says the festival aims to have the 6th graders tackle complex issues affecting their community with the help of digital art.
Rosalie De Jesus and Valerie Gonzalez may go to different schools, but they're both taking part in their district-wide animation class for 5th and 6th graders.
I'm focusing mine on zero hunger because zero hunger has been a problem around the whole world, and lots of people have been starving, and I just want that to be fixed.
I think that gender equality is the most important in my opinion because I feel like many women and girls out there do not have the same rights as they should.
The class is a 6-week-long program for roughly 1,200 students, and half of those, the 6th graders, end their program with a grand animation film festival.
All of the students create their films on an iPad, and they use an app called Rough Animator. That's just one of the several that are out there. There are many that are really, really good.
David Heredia is in charge of the Heroes of Color organization, which runs the program. He says animation is teaching them how to tell stories and advocate through art.
They create, their storyboards first. They create their character designs. We have them set outside and we do their voiceover, so they'll narrate whatever they're saying in the film. And then they cut it together. So the student does everything.
It's the 2nd annual event, and the students will address global issues aligned with one of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
We know these students are going to grow up and they're going to be our leaders. And you cannot lead what you do not know. And so we want to give them as much opportunity to engage in topics situations that they are inheriting as we speak.
Sharmila Kraft is the assistant superintendent with National School District.
The students realize their contribution has impact and has merit and value. And I think that is one of the most important pieces that I see happening.
This is Gonzalez's first time taking part in any kind of animation, and while she doesn't see a career in the field, she does think it could fit into her other passions, singing and fashion designing.
With animation, I could probably tie it with fashion designing because I can draw some of the clothing and see how they animate in real life.
As for De Jesus, she took part last year too, and her passions are drawing and singing, so animation fits right in. She already does it on her own time.
When you draw and you do still motion, it becomes like animated and it comes to life, and it's like really cool.
That's exactly what Heredia was hoping would come from the program. The big night is the cherry on top, with industry professionals present and movie star treatment for the students.
Oftentimes, the adults are teaching the kids. Here's an opportunity for the kids to teach the adults.
This weekend's red carpet-esque event will take place at UC San Diego's Park and Market building to celebrate the students' animations alongside their families and friends. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.